Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. President Obama and corporate corruption. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As you may know, the vicious recession we have now is largely driven by irresponsible corporations selling and buying bad mortgages and big oil, raising gas prices because of speculation. The Bush administration failed to oversee the chaos, and now most of us are suffering. President Obama campaigned on cleaning up corporate corruption. That was one of the changes we can believe in. But now the president has a major problem with the General Electric Corporation. Yesterday, GE agreed to pay $50 million to settle a fraud claim lodged by the federal government. Simply put, GE misled investors by cooking its books. There are many prominent CEOs on GE's board of directors. How can they live with that? Today, the Free Enterprise Project is calling for GE CEO Jeffrey Immelt to be fired. And certainly Mr. Immelt has a lot of explaining to do, because this is the same GE that has received $139 billion in government-backed low-interest loans. In other words, taxpayer bailout money. Think about that. GE defrauds the public, has to pay $50 million in fines, but could conceivably use taxpayer loan money to do it. Amazing. Situation directly touches the president because NBC News, owned by GE, has been perhaps Barack Obama's biggest supporter in the media. And Jeff Immelt was rewarded for that when President Obama appointed him to his Economic Advisory Board. And there's more. GE now claiming to be a green company, saying it wants to clean up the environment and be paid for doing it. But that goes against General Electric's drastic pollution of the Hudson River.
It's high time that GE clean up the Hudson River PCB contamination and all the other Superfund sites that they're responsible for around the country.
It's still in litigation. By the way, some analysts believe the General Electric stands to make hundreds of millions if cap and trade passes. Something very wrong about all of this, ladies and gentlemen. A major American corporation promoting the election of Barack Obama and then seeking to profit from his policies. I mean, it's very simple. The Securities and Exchange Commission says GE is guilty of fraud. So how can its CEO, Jeffrey Immelt, be advising President Obama? That's insane. It is long past time for the federal government to stop the nonsense and begin policing corrupt corporations. There is nothing the feds can do about a news organization promoting a political candidate, but to reward that corporation with government contracts after the fact is flat out corrupt. So we are going to continue watching this situation very closely. President Obama needs to distance himself from the General Electric Corporation immediately. And that is a memo. Now for the top story tonight, let's bring in crack political analyst Dick Morris, the author of the big bestseller Catastrophe, a good summer read setting you up for a very intense political season in the fall. Making any mistakes?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think that the whole, once you had news organizations that were owned by commercial entities, not like News Corp that owns Fox, that's a news organization, but somebody that makes refrigerators owning a TV station.
Right.
It sets up a possibility of federal payments to that corporation that could incentivize the network to give him favorable coverage.
Do you think that's what happened with General Electric?
I don't think that Immelt ever picked up the phone and spoke to somebody at NBC and said, I want you to give Obama positive coverage. But I do believe that the corporate culture in one of these shops becomes pro-Obama, and that filters down to the news organization in all kinds of different ways. I saw that a little bit, no news organization tie-in, in the Clinton administration, where at this time it was the L'Oreal Corporation, headed by a guy named Bernie Schwartz. And Bernard Schwartz contributed $632,000 in soft money to the Clinton organization and the Democratic Party in the 96 and 98 election cycles. And in 96, Clinton granted L'Oreal and Hughes a waiver to permit them to help China launch satellites. And the U.S. government Justice Department investigated L'Oreal because of charges that they actually provided China with technologies that were proprietary to the U.S.
Did Clinton do that because he gave the money?
I don't think there's ever a quid pro quo, but I think the warm relations between the two, the yachting together, the vacationing together, the speaking together, the appearing at events together, led to a long-time association between him and that
bad appearances. Well, now we have Barack Obama, who, under his administration, has granted $139 billion in very low-interest loans to General Electric. who now has to pay $50 million to the government because it defrauded investors. I mean, how can the taxpayers be giving General Electric billions and then the companies accused of fraud?
And you make a key point here that will be a theme, I would hope, of these programs in the future, because he has given away $800 billion of TARP money to various banks and companies.
He being President Obama.
Yeah. Now, let's look at those corporate executives, look at their PACs, look at their employees, and see what campaign contributions have flowed.
See, what I'm worried about
and
here...
Obama has not said that directed the Democratic Party or his campaign committee or Democratic senators to refrain from taking contributions from entities that received federal money on their lookout.
And that's what I was going to say. What I'm worried about here is the appearance of corruption. I mean, I don't think Barack Obama is saying, okay, because NBC News helped me get elected, I'm going to give General Electric A, B, C, and D. I don't think he's doing that. I could be wrong. He might be doing it, but that would be unbelievably corrupt. Okay? But the appearance is that you can now buy government contracts. General Electric can buy government contracts, cap and trade, whatever it may be, if you support the winner of the election.
This also goes back to the Bush and Cheney administration. We have a chapter in Fleeced, the book before catastrophe, about Halliburton, where Cheney retained a financial relationship with Halliburton. Said he severed it, but really didn't. He owned stock in it. And Halliburton got away with unbelievable shenanigans in dealing with Iraq.
And the left went wild on it.
Left went wild, and they were right. They were right. We have a chapter in our book about that. Whenever you have a company, a corporation, moving in too cozy with the president, as you're inviting them to do with the TARP money and the other bailouts, the potential here for corruption is enormous. And when you have the news media itself implicated, nobody's going to cover it.
All right. Let's turn to, I'm asking every guest tonight, every political guest tonight, to grade Barack Obama. It's been a little bit more than 6 months that he's been in office. What would you give him, overall grade?
By his lights, he gets an A. By my lights, he gets an F.
You're giving him an F?
An F.
Really?
By his lights, he doubled government spending. He increased government spending.
Okay, but I'm not worried about what he thinks.
Okay.
But you're giving him a
flat-out F.
Really?
He took office, there was a $3 trillion government spending, now it's $4 trillion. He took office, the federal budget deficit was $1 trillion, now it's $2 trillion. He took office, we had a health care system, have a health care system that's the envy of the world. He's doing everything he can to cut Medicare.
The health care system's not the envy of the world. Come on.
Do you know of any other country where people come for cancer treatments?
Well,
do they go to Canada? Do they go to Britain?
The skill of our doctors and nurses and our technologies, absolutely.
And our medicines.
The way it's executed is really hurting a lot of people.
Look, confidence in the American healthcare system, according to Rasmussen, has doubled to 48%.
Yeah, because they're comparing it to the chaos that the Obama administration is creating.
The point is that, medical care costs extra money.
So you're giving him an F, a flat-out flunk grade.
He has extended the recession. He has created a budget deficit that will trigger massive inflation. He has created he's federalized the auto industry, and he's never going to be able to get rid of it. And he's threatening to destroy our healthcare system and outsource our manufacturing. What would you give him? An F is a promotion.
All right, I'm not giving him a grade tonight. I'm going to let my guests do it. So
if anybody's not sure about that, read
Catastrophe. I knew you were going to say read Catastrophe. I knew Morris was going to say
That's why I wrote it, to justify